Hi everyone, welcome to another CGC return. This one is actually one of my few CGC returns. I've done a lot of grading with them before, but recently it's just been PSA since past COVID. PSA really has become the number one leader again. I mean, they're always number one, but then for a time, their turnaround times are very slow, and then people went to CGC, and CGC got a lot of market share. But I'm going to tell you why I graded these cards and what I expected. And I actually know all the grades already, but for many of you, you can just take a look and see. So you might have heard that CGC had some kind of really big news yesterday, which is the June 20th. And it's I think a lot of people don't like it, but a lot of people do like it, but more people slam it because they're pretty much completely changing the game. And I will discuss with you after this return. So I'm just gonna open this box right now off screen and kind of just go through with you my thoughts on everything. My initial thoughts about CGC was that they did fill a void that PSA kind of left out in the open. They were kind of always really good with comic books and everything, and then during COVID, they took a lot of market share away from PSA, and it's good and bad because they were trying to grade like BGS, but they had kind of like an uglier label. They were relatively unknown in the card world, but very respected in the comic book world. So here we go. I'll take the cards out. They usually come in a box and then they have this little paper thing on it. I really don't like the paper thing because there's a lot of scraps. It used to be very ugly bubble foam kind of thing, and it left a mess everywhere. So yeah, this is the return. I'm just gonna slip these out and I discard this paper one. Yeah, it's kind of, this one you can't really use for anything else, so I'm just gonna discard it. So yeah, these are the 4 cards I submitted, and they're all Charizards. And here are the labels, and I did crack these out in order to get a better grade. You'll see why. There's 2 labels here. These are their new labels. Actually, these are their old labels, and this one is a new one. And I'll flip these over first, actually. These are their old labels from before. As you can see, it's a more solid blue and doesn't have the kind of gradient, whereas this one does. And it's one thing, like CGC, the bad thing about them is that they keep changing things up, and we're not sure where they're at. And with yesterday's announcement, they are changing it up a lot. Like a lot. So you can see that these are all Charizard VMAXs from the modern era. One's Japanese, of course, and they're all 9.5s. Now, why did I do this? It's because I've had these in my collection for a long time. Some I graded, some I bought, but these are older, right? The thing about CGC was that when they came into the market, they did not give out many 10s at all. Maybe less than 1% were 10s, and then everything else was a 9.5. But 9.5 at that time was kind of like, the condition itself was similar to a PSA 10 already, because PSA 10, or PSA as a company grades a little bit more leniently, and I wanted to see if I can get a perfect 10 now, because right now CGC kind of changed their grading standards and are giving, like these I was trying to get to be 10s, and this one as well. I actually looked over all the cards. They looked in pretty good condition, and I'll just show you what I got. So we'll go with the English ones first and then the Japanese one. So number 1, Okay, I can't really cover this up, but this one, you see that one of these Charizard VMAXs actually got upgraded to a pristine 10. I'm not sure which one it is exactly, but as you can see, it was probably one of these. And this, I mean, I'll tell you what happens in the grading scenario if I were to give it back to CGC for their new labels, but we'll just keep going with this return. Let's see. This one looks pretty good. There's always some residue here. This one, okay, this one's the VMAX, which I also got a 10. Now this is a really good grade. Let's see, this one, so the Japanese label is actually here, and this one is the VMAX from Champion's Path. What's really annoying, right, is that the first time it got graded, it actually got a centering 10. And this one is just a 9.5. And everything else is a 10, whereas everything else is a 9.5 before, other than this edge is 10. But if I got another 10, it would have been a perfect 10 Charizard VMAX, which I was hoping for. But instead I got a 9.5 and it's just pristine, which is still a good grade. It's the same thing as this one. Really, really nice. These, I'm debating if I should keep them or not in this case, or should I switch to the new case. But okay, next one. Next one is a VMAX. I don't know why I got a Surface 8 and that bumped it down to 8.5. I really don't know, and I'm actually gonna, this one is the only one I'm actually gonna crack out again and submit to either, I don't think I'm gonna submit to CGC again, I'm gonna submit to PSA and hopefully get that 10, or even a PSA 9 is fine, but hopefully we get a 10. But this one got an 8.5, it actually got downgraded, so not very successful from my end. Yeah, this one's an 8.5. Now, let's see if this was kind of like an experiment, albeit a very expensive one. It costs $180 to submit these in, and I always get subgrades for expensive Charizard cards because I kind of want to know what went wrong. So this one, let's see what I got. I actually got the same grade, but the subgrades were different. Yeah, that's the thing. Exact same card, Japanese Shiny Star V, and different grades. That's why everyone kind of cracks these out, resubmits it again to hope to get a higher grade. This one I might actually crack out again and try to just send it to PSA and get that 10, which is very, very likely. More than 50% likely it'll get a 10. So yeah. So here's what happened pretty much. It looks like the older ones got that 10, but then the newest one got an 8.5. And then this grade overall stayed the same with some changes in subgrade, which is fine. But the newest thing that happened with CGC yesterday was that they're gonna do new labels. And I do have the article linked down in my video as well. You can take a look at it. But they're getting rid of the blue labels, and then they're transforming them into black and white ones, which look a lot like, kind of like the GMA or SGC black and white labels. And it's completely different from blue ones. There are some people who really, really like the blue labels, and they thought they were really good. They were looked well with their blue cards, for example, but now it's kind of like they're trying to go in the direction of PSA, and it's very disappointing for many reasons because I was an early adopter of CGC. I graded a lot with them before, and it's kind of like they keep doing a disservice to the early adopters, right? The people who submitted them all these, they could have been PSA 10 cards, but then they didn't submit to PSA because PSA was taking a year or two for their backlog to be finally finished. And a lot of people got 9s when they should have gotten 10s. Like, there's tons of people who have CGC 9s of this old label, for example, right? They buy them up and then they crack it out, submit to PSA, and then they get 10s. Because CGC was a lot more harsher on grading. And then later on, after the pandemic ended, they started being a little less harsh and started giving out way more 10s and trying to compete for more market share with PSA. But it's kind of like they already made a mistake of doing the 9.5s when they should have been just giving these 10s, right? Like PSA is so successful because they're very lenient on grades, and because everyone wants to get a 10. They want to complete their PSA 10 Charizard set, for example. And what better way to get all these 10s and go with PSA? That's why PSA is winning everything. That's why Pokemon prefers PSA. Magic prefers BGS because of the like Black Label chance, and BGS does have better slabs in my opinion, but PSA is just like the gold standard for all of Pokemon, and it's what I collect the most of as well because their website is just so much better than everyone else's. And PSA has been giving, if you submit a bulk lot in, you can get it within 1 to 2 months now. CGC is trying to compete with that, but still, no one wants to really submit to CGC if they can just submit to PSA and wait that 1 or 2 months. So CGC, like, in my opinion, what they announced yesterday was a huge, they're trying to change the game up basically and bring back that market share with a more generic looking label. It's not blue and so distracting, and because some people want their cards to be noticed instead of their labels, but then the blue kind of distract from that, and it is kind of ugly, right? It says CGC Universal Gray. It's kind of lame in my opinion. So what they're trying to do, like for me, in my opinion, I like the black labels, but what they're trying to do is like everyone else who graded in all of these other labels, they're invalidated now. They can be worth less or they could be worth more depending on what card they are. But the most people want a complete set of something, right? Like they want all these Charizards like this. And like if you slip a PSA card or something, right, like this, right? Like that just looks off, right? And the CGC card just looks like the new CGC label just kind of looks like this but black, and it's just completely different. Another thing that they're doing is getting rid of subgrades, and subgrades is very helpful. Like in my submissions, very very nice to have these subgrades. But the thing is, it's like it's $15 a card, and instead of someone scanning it for like 30 seconds, it's gonna be like 1 minute, and they charge another $15. It used to be just $5 for subgrades, and that was actually very affordable, and people liked it a lot. But then they raised it to 15 probably like a year or two ago, and then I can see why they don't want to do it anymore, because I can see why players and collectors don't want to submit for $15, and I can see why CGC would not want to do that anymore because it just takes a little bit more time. I think they want to be very fast and speedy about everything. But the thing is like PSA doesn't do subgrades or half grades. Rarely they do half grades, but then CGC kind of like they differentiated themselves with these subgrades, right? And they were faster, better, have a better website than Beckett. Like Beckett is super slow, they're not transparent, and they have a very old model of doing business. Whereas CGC is a lot faster and has a good website, has a good card submitter, and like Beckett is just, I don't know, they're kind of out of their minds. I don't know what the heck is going on with their upper management. They could be making a lot more money, but they're not. And that's just kind of stupid to me. And all their marketing right now, in order to compete with PSA, it's just stupid and bonkers. Like what CGC is doing is just not good either. Okay, but that's besides the point. Subgrades are good. People like subgrades and they like looking at it. Like to me, CGC, if you have a big value card like this Charizard, you must have subgrades. There's a lot on the market that don't, and now they get to do something about it, right? The thing is now how they're adjusting everything is that like a 9.5 like this, you can give it back to CGC. You for each card you're gonna pay $5 to reholder it, and they're gonna give you the new label, but then instead of a Gem Mint 9.5, it's gonna be a Gem Mint 10. Now that's really good in some regards, but then also bad because it's a huge cash grab for everyone to switch their collection from whatever they have in 9.5 to the new label. Or like if they have a CGC like 8.5 and they want the new label, it's like it's gonna cost $5, but you're still gonna get an 8.5. They're still gonna have these subgrades, but then 9.5s get automatically bumped to 10, but an 8.5 will still stay 8.5. But instead of this with subgrades, you're not gonna get any subgrades, and it's it's just kind of lame. Like, I don't see people doing that much. They'll probably want to keep these blue labels just because they're gonna be out of print, right? Like, in 5 years, they're gonna grade way more in this new CGC label than all these blue labels combined before. But it's a real slap to the face for the early adopters and collectors for CGC. One of the best things I think is gonna happen is that, aren't you glad I cracked it and now it's a 10? This one will still be, it'll be, this one will be a Gemmin 9. Gemmin 10 in the new label, but then this one will be a pristine 10, and it'll be the highest grade that CGC will give. They're getting rid of the perfects. The perfect 10s, which is all 10 subgrades. I actually have a couple of them in my collection. I'm going to show you soon. But at least this will be the highest grade that CGC will have. And that's good, right? Like, the good thing about PSA 10s is that there's nothing bigger than a PSA 10. A BGS 9.5 or 10 will have something always above that, and which is a BGS black label, right? Which is the equivalent of a CGC Perfect back in the day now. Like, they're starting this implementation 1 month. So Charizard VMAX, this will be the highest grade possible, and I'll be happy with that. These two I will get reholdered for $5 each. I don't think that's a bad price. But then again, you won't know what's wrong with your card because these subgrades won't matter anymore, and I paid $15 each for these, right? Like, it's kind of bullshit. They should have been doing the reholders for free, but like, I know that who's gonna do it for free, right? And it's not just gonna be $5. It's gonna be the shipping fee. It's gonna be the risk of your mail getting lost. Imagine people who want to adopt this new label. They send all their 9.5s, all their pristine 10s, and what if it gets lost in the mail? Like, what are they gonna do? What's CGC gonna do? They're not gonna do anything. You just lost thousands of dollars. Like, it's really, really stupid what they're doing. Like, you should insure your collection before you send it in the mail, but now you're gonna have to send so much out. So it's just kind of ridiculous. Like, the next part of my discussion is, what am I gonna do with my existing CGC cards, right? Like, this is up to you. If you're a CGC collector, you don't have to follow what I do, but yeah, I'm gonna put these away for now. But I already told you what I'm gonna do with these Charizards. But we'll get to the good stuff later. But we'll start off with the bulk I have. I have like a huge stack of these 9.5 Charizard illustrators I submitted a long time ago. I have a lot of these 9.5s. What am I gonna do with these? This is a magic card, by the way. It's just beautiful in the black or in the blue label. These, the value of these in a 9.5 is actually just like $25 CGC, but a PSA 10 is probably 35 to 40. And like, I did great. Like, you have to think about the money you spent on grading these too, right? Like, these have subgrades, these don't. So these cost around like 15 a grade back in the day. These I will probably just keep as is, but if somehow these do go up in value, I will try to reholder these and get a CGC 10. Like, these will all be Gemmin 10s later on. It's kind of worth it, kind of not worth it, but some people will. The thing is, in 5 years, CGC will probably still be on it, but people like newer collectors, for example, they're gonna want the new black labels that they have. And it might, like, what they're deciding right now might be a huge success. Who knows? These are lower end. I think these I will submit to get reholdered. Like, these are popular, right? Like, this one's a Japanese trainer card that's usually, like, these are worth a lot usually if they have girls on them, but with guys on them, it doesn't really matter. These, I mean, Rayquaza is a good card. Moltres, Articuno, Zapdos. This is good too, so I might just reholder these and get those 10s since they're $5 each. It's a limited time, only until September, that you can reholder for $5. It's good, and it's just, I mean, it's bad because it's a huge money grab and it just screams desperation. Yeah, same with these. Very low value cards. I'm not sure. Like, this one, I don't think I'll do anything with. This one, maybe one of them I want in a CGC 10 Gem Mint. Yeah. I have another pile here, and these are a little higher in price. Like these. This Charizard I will get in a 10 for sure. Celebration is very classic. You can see that's a little off center. The center is just a 9, but everything else is really good. 10-10. This will be a CGC 10. Gen Mint, yeah. So one thing I noticed on eBay was that a lot of 9.5s sold out on eBay. Like a lot of YouTubers sold out their stock from what I've heard, and 9.5s, like it's good. It's actually good now because you can get a CGC 10 on it, like in the new format. This one is a special one. I graded a bunch of these and I got 110, which is really lame. But this one will be a pristine. It'll be the highest grade on CGC, and I will take that. I will submit this as a reholder. Same thing here. It's a Chinese celebrations. This one's just really cool. I bought this for around like 200 back in the day. It just, the Japanese one just looks so much, the Japanese, Chinese ones, Asian ones look a little bit like just so much better with that gold edge around it. Now these, it's a CGC 9 Charizard base set from 20 years ago. I will not submit this one because it's only going to become a CGC 9, and look, there's subgrades on these, really good subgrades. I'm not going to submit this. This is a $1,000 card. This one's around 400 to 500. I will not submit this either because there's no upside, right? I'll keep the A and I'll keep all these subgrades. Now these are the fun ones. This is a 9.5 gold card. I saw these sell out on eBay instantly yesterday. They were around, when these first came out, because CGC was the first one to grade them, they were around 400 to 500. But they rose up to 600, and now the lowest one on eBay I see is 2,000 as of the 21st of June, 2023. 2,000 for this card. I bought this raw for 100, graded it for like maybe $40. Got the subgrades, got everything, got 9.5. I was very happy with it, and it's ridiculous. This thing is last solds are like 1.4, 1.5 thousand. And yeah, lowest on eBay right now is 2,000. This will be reholdered for sure, but I need to ensure this when I ship this out. We're sending out multiple shipments because this is like really valuable right now. This is in one of the boxes that was very underprinted. It was in the Celebrations UPC. It's pretty ridiculous. Yeah, and it's just beautiful. Like this is like a very good slab too, but I just hope they don't slab it wrong. Yeah, so this is gonna go in the go to holder pile. Now this, if you've seen my CGC return video, you'll see why, you'll kind of know why this happened. This is actually very legit. I think their QC just sucks at CGC. I got this back and I was like, what the hell? I knew when I submitted these in, this one was actually the better card. So it's like, I don't want to crack this because to some collectors, this misholder is very valuable. This one I want to say is worth way more than $2,000. It just needs to find the right buyer. But will I submit this, like resubmit this into CGC to get that reholder for that Gen Mint 10? It says it's Gen Mint 9.5 with, and it comes without subgrades. That's something I'm going to decide, but I'm leaning towards no because this is just really funny. And I have a video of me unboxing it and everything. Like, this is legit. Like, if you didn't know, I contacted customer support. I was like, can I get this reholder? Right when I got this bag, I was like, what the hell? Like, what the heck, right? Because, like, when you look at this QR code, you can actually see the picture of all your CGC cards. But then when I saw it at first and complained about it, this picture was still there on CGC's website. But then when I complained about it, I was like, oh, like what the heck? You guys should do something about this. Like, your QC sucks. They were like, oh, and we need to speak to management before like you mail this back potentially and stuff. And they removed the picture, which is super lame. They removed the picture off CGC's website because they knew it was a stupid mistake. And yeah, this is cool though. I even posted this on one of the Pokemon groups, and initially there was a ton of chatter about it. People wanted to buy this from me for like a couple thousand. And I was like, oh, nah, I'm gonna see what I'm gonna do with it first. But then they eventually removed my post because it wasn't a misprint, it wasn't an oddity, but in actuality it is an oddity, because this kind of proves to you how bad CGC's QA is. Like, there's no freaking QA 1 or 2 or anything, like, for a lot of these companies. Like, how can someone miss this? How can someone go like, oh, this is upside down, you put it back in the unslabber and then slab it again, you know? It's like, yeah, I'm gonna keep this one. It's really funny, but this one is gonna be that CGC 10. Last 3. This is like a cool set. I bought this set for like maybe $200 a while ago, just because it's like really, really cool looking. All the radiants, because shiny Pokemon are nice, and this is just really cheap for pristine 10s. This I will submit all of them back for $5 each, easily, because they'll still be matching. They won't have the gold, but they'll have like the nice black and gold label. Yeah, so let me put these back in my piles, but yeah, these two are like the cream of the crop right now. Lastly, had some bangers. These are really nice. I got these for like $100 each. Umbreon VMAXs in perfect 10s. These I will not be submitting back because there's no use, and this is going to be a commodity later on. I can feel it. This is better than any CGC Pristine because it's the old CGC Perfect. There's no more of these that are going to be added to the population report, so these are like very, very safe in my eyes. And I'll show you my most expensive cards that I have. More Umbreons, but look at this. Perfect. This one's perfect 10 Umbreon VMAX 215. This is $1,000 PSA 10, and the last sold of this one on eBay was around $4,000. The lowest listing right now is $5,500, and I think that's actually very cheap. The next lowest one was $10,000. This thing is worth a lot right now. It's only gonna be, there's no more in population that are gonna be added. Sure, pristine 10s of Umbreon VMAX, yeah, sure, those will be added, but this is gonna be very, very expensive later on. The thing is, I have them all matching, all in English. These two are Japanese, if you didn't notice. These are all in English. All the Umbreon VMAXs in perfect 10s. I was trying to get a collection going on with all of these, but now I can't really add to it because I just can't anymore, because they're not going to do anymore, right? What's left is left, and Umbreon is such a big Pokemon, and yeah, it's ridiculous. And these will not be going anywhere near CGC, and I'll have this in my collection for a long time, but until I feel like I need to sell it for bigger things. But yeah, all the Umbreon VMAXs in perfect 10s. This is like beautiful to me, and it's just something I want to share in the video. All your perfect 10s, don't even think about sending them back. You don't want to risk them in the mail, and you don't want a pristine 10 of the new slab, the new label. Yeah. And if you're wondering, these are perfect fits sleeves. This is a perfect fit sleeve on this one with a graded guard black, and within another bigger sleeve. This one's a slag mag. This is UV protectant. It's really, really cool. It unlocks, but it keeps this in very, very good shape. Yeah, this thing is just beautiful. But anyways, I graded this and I bought these. This one was just like a very, this was actually a BGS 9.5, but I got a perfect 10 out of this from CGC, which I'm very, very happy about. Yeah. So anyways, this card, they're not gonna make any more EV Evolving Skies or anything, so just something to keep in your collection and see where it'll go later on. This is like equivalent of like very hard to get card, and most expensive modern card in the last couple of years. So yeah, let me know what you think and what you're gonna do with your CGC cards, or whether or not you're gonna like grade with them still? Any plans to? Like, who knows? Like, their pricing might even update too. Because, like, why would you submit to CGC for the lowest price, which is like $15, when you can get send it to PSA and have a higher shot at getting a 10, right? The thing is, CGC is trying to become like PSA, and it's really having a negative effect on people who like me already had these cards. For newer collectors, yeah, sure, it's great. It's like their label looks better than the other garbage ones, like Ace Gradings, like just too crazy. SGC is kind of whatever. GMA is garbage. It's like one of the ugliest cases I've seen. What else? Diamond, like that one's ugly as hell. But anyways, CGC's new label I actually like, but yeah, like their blue label's really cool, and everyone's gonna remember the blue label, but who knows, in 5 to 10 years, who knows, right? But yeah, with all these cards, I'm not sure when I'm like, I'm kind of sure, but I'm also unsure because shipping them off is gonna be annoying as heck. But yeah, like, it's crazy, right? Like, you want matching sets of everything, and now it's not going to be matching. Because half of a pile of Charizards, for example, I'm going to send. The other half I'm just going to keep as is. It just doesn't make sense, right? And all these subgrades do matter. Like, that's why people submit to BGS. It gives you more clarity on your card. So, yeah, let me know what you're going to do about this CGC change. Are you going to submit more to them, or are you going to submit more to PSA or BGS? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, thank you for watching and listening to me rant about what I think. There's definitely ways to win on this, but other times it's like, oh, you have the blue labels, you have PSA's red labels, BGS is like gold, black, silver, and white labels. Like, it's kind of crazy, and CGC really just wants to revamp. Like, this is totally a money grab for them, and also a signal that PSA is still king, and it just means that in the last 6 months, CGC has been getting little to no submissions from a lot of people, and the time for flipping is over. The time for collecting and cheap cards is there, right? Like, CGC can only capture so much, and they think changing the label, getting rid of the subgrades, getting rid of the 9.5s is their way of winning. And I'm not sure if I agree with that. A lot of people, there's a lot of backlash. There's also a Q&A on Instagram that kind of failed. A lot of negative comments, but yeah, check those out. Read the article I posted, and yeah, I'll be posting some more returns later. I have some more PSA ones coming, and no CGC ones coming, so thank you all very much.